Hello, and welcome to the Connection Church. We're so glad that you're here with us today. We are a casual place with serious faith. If this is your first time with us, you are our VIP. So text the word welcome to 512-359-3400 and head out to the red carpet in the lobby to receive a free gift just for you. Want to follow along with today's message? You can find the connection points as well as special events and past messages on the Connection Church app, available on all platforms.
All right, awesome. It is so great to see you today. I am Cole Phillips, and this is my beautiful wife, Pam, and I've invited her. Come on, let's give it up. Let's give it up for Pam. That's awesome, yes. So she's going to be spitting some wisdom today, and you guys are in for a real treat. We want to welcome all of you who are here, but especially our VIPs in the house. Let's give it up for our first-time guests. We are a family expecting guests, and we hope you'll find a home here with us. Yeah. Also, we are one church in two locations, so we have those of you here in Buda, but then those of you here in San Marcos as well. We give it up for one another right now, which is awesome. And today, we're continuing our series on love and dating and marriage and even sex called 2 4 1. Can you help me out with that? Do that with me. Here we go. 2 4 1. That's right. And so we are talking about how we become one, but you're in marriage, you're bringing two very different people into the mix. And so today we're going to be talking about our differences that we bring and how we can experience a victory through our differences. And, we come into marriage, all of us, we come into marriage with great expectations, right? We have all these hopes and dreams and many ideas about what the other person is going to be like and what our marriage will be like. And the shocking truth that we find out is that it rarely turns out like we think, right? It doesn't always come out that way. In fact, sometimes the honeymoon is over before it even starts.
Yeah. That's right. So listen, speaking from a mom's perspective and a woman's perspective, I just want you to know that this might be a little PG-13 today. So if you want to save yourself from having some discussions later on at home, you might want to take advantage of Connection Kids today, just giving that warning up front, okay? Rowdy, you stay. Okay, so think about this. As little girls, we start dreaming about our wedding, right? I can remember playing Barbie wedding, and we played pretend wedding, and we watched movies like Cinderella, who's one of my very favorites, and we are looking for Prince Charming to sweep us off of our feet so that we can live, help me, happily ever after. That's right. That is the goal. But many times our expectations fall very short of our reality. What we want is not what we always get.
And sometimes this happens very quickly in a marriage. There was this pastor that got an email that I want to share with you. This is basically from a newlywed wife. So check this out. It says, "Dear Pastor, I am writing to you because I'm at the end of my rope. My husband and I are newly married 11 months, and it's nothing like I expected. He doesn't take the time to talk with me, and I feel like I've been duped. Most nights, he just sits in front of the TV like a vegetable. When I ask him about his day, he just sits and says, nothing. I confronted him, and he got defensive. I said, I expected more emotional support from you. He said, That's okay. I expected more sex from you. I'm so mad at him. I know the Bible frowns on divorce, but we're just so different. I wonder if I've made a mistake. Sincerely, Married and Mad. Men and women are different. Isn't that a revolutionary concept? Okay? And God is very clear and direct in the Bible about this, about the differences between men and women. And we've been hanging this whole series really on something that Jesus said in Matthew 19:4, where he said this, "Haven't you read the scriptures?" Jesus replied, "They record that from the beginning, God made them male and female. And he said, this explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Since they are no longer two, but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together." Yeah. Right? And the beginning of those verses very clearly say that we were made different. We were designed to be different. And when we understand those differences, it helps us to grow in our relationships. But the biggest problem is when it comes to men and women, we too often are taking our cues from the culture instead of taking our cues from Christ. Okay? Wow. And so this leads to all kinds of conflict and problems. All right?
Yeah. So we like to cook in our house. Well, really, Cole likes to eat in our house.
Come on.
And so we brought some food up here, and we want to share with you kind of what it looks like inside a woman's brain and a man's brain.
Yes. So I have here a man's brain, right? This is waffles. And waffles are great because they have these little boxes, and the little boxes are perfectly designed to hold syrup. You need to have a little bit of syrup and a little bit of butter in every single box, right? But this is how a man's brain is. Our brain is full of these little boxes, these little compartments, and each one is designed to hold one part of our life. And you notice that with the waffles, the boxes are separated by these little walls, and what's in the boxes do not touch the other boxes, right? And so we have a box for work, and we have a box for playing PlayStation, right? When we're playing PlayStation, we're in the play box, and then we have a box for ESPN, right? And this is why, when we're in a certain box, we can ignore every other thing that's going on in our life.
Yeah, because there's a definite barrier between each box, right? He's just in that box.
But the biggest box of all is the sex box, right? There is a big box, and it's the sex box, and that box is open 24 hours a day, okay? And this is also why, since it's separate, like we men, we can be having a fight with our wife, but we can still, it's okay, we can still jump into the sex box, that's okay, because they're two separate boxes. And here's what women really have a hard, this is going to be mind-blowing for you if you've never heard this. This is the thing, that there is actually a box here that's called the nothing box. And in that box is absolutely nothing. And guys, we can get into the nothing box. This is why when she says, "What are you thinking about?" and he says, "Nothing." He really is thinking about nothing.
Yeah. That's mind-blowing to me, right? Women, is that mind-blowing to you? So when it looks like he's in the nothing box, I might think, he can't really be thinking about nothing. Like, that's not possible. I see some men shaking their heads like, yes, it is possible. But I'm thinking, well, maybe he's thinking about someone else, or maybe he thinks I look fat, or... Oh, wait, you're not thinking I look fat,
No,
do you?
definitely
Okay.
not. Definitely not. And, This is why that guy can sit in front of the TV and he can look like a vegetable because he's thinking about nothing. And what men will do is they will organize their life so that we can spend most of our time in the boxes where we're most successful, and we will avoid the boxes where we're not successful.
That's right. So, women, you want to hold the spaghetti for me?
Sure.
Women, hold this. You got it?
Well, I
Maybe
hope so.
we just set
I
it
hope
right
so.
there.
I got it.
All right.
I got it.
Women are like spaghetti.
Woo.
All right? This is how we process life, women. All the noodles touch each other, right? Everything is connected. One thought flows to another thought. One idea leads to another idea. Seeing one person leads to thinking about another person, right? Are you with me, women? Do you understand this? Is the light coming on for you? All of our thoughts and emotions and beliefs are all connected, and this is how we process information. We can actually keep track of more activities, women, because everything is connected to each other, all right? We remember it forever. Oh, you're going to take the spaghetti?
Yeah, because what happens when Waffle Boy meets Spaghetti Girl, right? And we get Waffle Getty here. It all collides. And, no other menu would waffles and spaghetti go together, right? Yeah. But in God's economy, you got Waffle Getty, and it's good. But what happens is, Waffle Boy asks Spaghetti Girl, did you happen to pick up the dry cleaning today? And she says...
Well, that's a yes or no question, right?
Right. That's what I'm wanting. Did you pick up the dry cleaning?
Or no, but for Spaghetti Girl, it's not really that simple, is it? The conversation in my mind might go something like this. Yeah, I went to the dry cleaner, and you'll never guess who I ran into. Remember Tracy, whose brother Rob got engaged to Jennifer, and they met each other at the YMCA. By the way, we need to renew our membership at the YMCA. And Jennifer is best friends with Jessica, who can probably get us a discount at the Y, but I would not mess with her right now because she's having a serious conflict with her boyfriend, Dustin, who we met at the Christmas party, and he's kind of a jerk. Remember him? Do you see how that goes for Spaghetti Girl?
Yes, and all Waffle Boy is wondering is, do I have a shirt to wear to work tomorrow? That's all I was wanting to know. And when we get this confused, what we end up doing is we end up pouring sauce, not on the spaghetti, on the waffles, right? Oh, man. All right. And then what?
We end up pouring syrup on the spaghetti.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right. That's a little, I've got that a little messy. Now that looks better to me than this. I don't know. They're both whatever. But that's when we try to force the other person into our spouse into our way of feeling and thinking, right? So guys, for example, one of the boxes that we need is we need to make sure that we have a listening box, because this does not come natural for us as men, right? We've got to make sure. But let me tell you guys, when you start listening to her, she thinks you're brilliant. You look much smarter than you really are. You look better to her than you really are. And it's a huge payoff, because if she doesn't talk about it, guess what's going to happen? Her spaghetti brain is going to explode, right? It's just going to explode all over the place. Ladies, have you had your spaghetti brain explode like that? Yes.
Yeah, you will literally have that exploding. And that is very scary for men, okay? Men often run from women when this starts happening because they do not know what to do with it. Spaghetti Girl does not want you to fix it. She wants you to feel it. All right? Listen to the girl, because she needs to release her emotions. And if you start trying to fix it, she's going to go kung fu on you. And sometimes guys just need to zip it and lean in and listen.
Guys, we are guilty. Let's be honest. We're guilty of selective hearing, right? So give us an example of this.
Okay, so an example of selective hearing would be this. If I give Cole a honey-do list, it might look like this. honey, please go to the store, lay down the mulch, wash and wax the car, get the kids from gymnastics, pick up some food, and do the rest of the dishes. Pretty good little honey-do list.
Yes, and here is what we hear in that process. We hear, honey, please go lay down and get some rest. And through our filter, we think that is a great idea. I'm totally on board. I will get that done, right? But the good news is you can develop better listening skills. You can develop that and get better at it.
That's right. For women, because it's so natural for us to link all of those different areas of our life together, it's a lot easier for us to talk. We process out loud a lot more. Men have 13% of their brains wired for talking, and women have 28% of their brains wired for talking. So ladies, we can help him by just taking it down a notch, all right? Now, this isn't true in every relationship. Sometimes I feel like Cole has more words than I do. If you ever
these are broad brushes.
Yes. So it may not apply to everyone the same way, but a lot of times we just have these unrealistic expectations for our husbands, and it is very important for us to communicate with them clearly. That means the next time that he asks you what you want for your birthday, don't just say, well, you should know by now. We've been married a long time. You should just know me. Have you been guilty of that? I have. And let me just tell you, that doesn't always work out so well. Let me tell you a personal story about something that happened with Cole and I.
I was like 18 or 19 years old.
Okay, well, you don't have to give that disclaimer, but yes, he's grown significantly in this area. We were dating. We were in college, and it was around the time that a mixtape was popular.
Yes.
Who enjoyed a good mixtape? If you don't know what a mixtape is, Google that and find out. But for Valentine's Day, February 14th, your pastor decided that he was going to buy me, we weren't married yet, we were still dating, a car stereo for my car. He thought this would be important. He thought this would be exciting for me. And so he No, you can't. I'm telling the story. He wrapped up the car stereo in the box and gave it to me as my Valentine's gift. All right? Now, what would have made this gift very exciting is if there had been a sweet mixtape inside the car stereo, because it was before CDs, okay? Mixtape in the stereo. So when I saw the car stereo, I was fully expecting to open it up and there be a mixtape, in the slot. There was no mixtape. It was Valentine's Day. I was 18 years old, and I just started crying. I could not believe that for Valentine's Day, I got a car stereo. It had no emotional meaning to me at all. Well, he was stunned because he thought he had done the greatest thing in the whole world by buying me this car stereo. 1 week later, on February 21st, is my birthday. Yes. 1 week after Valentine's Day.
There's the catch, guys. You following me on this? 1 week later is her birthday.
So he thinks, I've got to do something sweet now for her birthday because I blew it on Valentine's Day. So guess what I get for my birthday on February 21st?
Valentine's candy, of
A
course.
big red Valentine heart sucker. I married him anyway.
Yeah, it was a little cheap. It was a discount, right? So good.
Listen to me, ladies. If you have something in mind, help a brother out, all right? Send him a link, make him a list, tell him where to buy it, take a picture of it, send it to him. He will be happy, and so will you. And that is how we've made that work in 28 years of marriage.
Yes, so good. So good. So we want to give you a recipe for a yummy, 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 yummy marriage.
That's a lot of
okay?
yummy.
We want to give you this recipe. And the first thing we want to do is we want to celebrate our differences. Celebrate our differences. Sometimes, it takes a long time to adjust to our differences.
Yeah, Cole and I came from two very different homes, two very different backgrounds.
Yes, I am the oldest child. I've got a younger brother. My dad was an alcoholic. My parents were divorced when I was 12 years old, and so that's kind of my background.
Yeah, and your dad never really attended church. That was something else that played into that. But I came from a home where my parents have been married for 60 years now. We were in the church every Sunday, all the time. I am the baby and the only girl. Yes.
Yeah, so what we've learned is instead of competing with each other, we want to work to complete each other so that her strengths shore up my weaknesses and vice versa. Now here are the what statistics say the 5 basic needs of men are, all right? Here they are. Number 1, ladies, I don't know if you can guess this or not, but the number 1 is sexual fulfillment, all right? Sexual fulfillment. Number 2 is recreational companionship, having fun together. 3 is an attractive spouse, okay? Now, you don't have to be the most beautiful woman in the world, but to your husband, you are, right? And then 4th is kind of help in the home, and 5th is admiration and respect. Those are guys' 5 basic needs. All right, ladies?
Yes. So, girls, here's our 5 basic needs as women. The first one is affection. All right. A good hug can go a long way. Communication. Remember, we're very verbal creatures. Number 3, honesty and openness, because that helps foster the trust. Number 4, security or financial commitment. Are you all in? And then number 5, a family commitment.
Yes. What do you notice about those 2 lists? They're totally different, aren't they? And that's okay. That's okay. Can you imagine how boring it would be if the 2 of you were exactly the same? That wouldn't be any fun, right? And what we found to be true is that in marriage, opposites attract, and then opposites attack, right? Those little things that you think are so cute. Oh, I love the way she snorts when she laughs. Then after you get married and you're like, oh, I wish she, it's so embarrassing. I wish she would stop that, or his snore, or whatever it is. How many of you in the room are? You would say you're a night owl. Any night owls in the room? Okay, we got night owls. How many of you are early birds? Okay, we got some early birds. Okay, how many of you are married to the other one, the bird? Yes. So yes, and so we enjoy the differences. We tend to seek out people that are different than us. There's something attractive to us about that. And before you get married, you overestimate the things that you have in common. You say, oh, we're so alike. We have so much in common. After 2 or 3 weeks, it's kind of funny hearing couples that are dating say that. We have so much in common. No, you don't. No, you don't. You are fooling yourself, right? And so what we want to do is we want to learn not just to accept our differences, not just to tolerate our differences, but to celebrate our differences, okay? And realize that God, in His, humor and in His wisdom, He puts opposites together so that we can grow. And Pam and I are so different, but here's one thing we've learned. If 2 people are identical, then one of them isn't necessary, okay? So for example, that's why we eat with a spoon and a fork, right? You've got to have the differences unless you're talking about a spork. And a spork is from the pit. It's the spawn of Satan, right? So we don't want to use those. Okay, so that's first. Then the second thing is debunk the fulfillment myth in marriage. We think my spouse is going to meet all of my needs. That's what it's all about. No, you are there to meet your spouse's needs, okay? And I heard the greatest definition of marriage this week. I thought it was so brilliant. I had to write it down.
Write it down.
Okay? It's this. Persistent effort on the part of 2 people to create the environment for each to fulfill God's purpose, to become better than they could have become alone. Did you hear that? I'll say it one more time. Persistent effort on the part of 2 people to create the environment for each to fulfill God's purpose to become better than they could have become alone. Okay? The problem is, in our culture says, look out for number 1, right? It's all about me, myself, and I, you know what that's called? There's a word for that. Immaturity. Immaturity. You've got to do a lot of things in life that aren't just good for you, right? So I'm thinking, I want you to serve me. I want you to meet my needs. You have some needs. Your spouse has some needs. And I want us to listen to this. This is from the Message paraphrase in 1 Corinthians 7:1. It's so good. Check this out. I love this. Now, getting down to the questions you asked in your letter to me. That means some people were asking about this back then, just like they ask about it today, right? And here's the question. What are they asking? First, is it a good thing to have sexual relations? Great question. Is it a good thing to have sexual relations? And his answer, certainly, but only within a certain context. What's that context? The context of a committed marriage relationship between one man and one woman. It's good for a man to have a wife and for a woman to have a husband. Sexual drives are strong, but marriage is strong enough to contain them and provide for a balanced and fulfilling sexual life in a world of sexual disorder. The marriage bed must be a place of what? Mutuality. The husband seeking to satisfy his wife, the wife seeking to satisfy her husband. Marriage is not a place to stand up for your rights. Marriage is a decision to serve the other, whether in bed or out. Abstaining from sex is permissible for a period of time if you both agree to it, and if it's for the purpose of prayer and fasting, but only for such times. Then come back together again. Satan has an ingenious way of tempting us when we least expect it. You know, before you get married, the devil wants to do everything he can to make sure you jump in bed together. After you get married, the devil works very hard to make sure he keeps you out of the bed together, okay? And here's how this plays out in Waffle and spaghetti world, right? And how are we different here? Well, it's the difference between a microwave and a crock pot, okay? For guys, men, we're like a microwave, right? And women are like crock pots. They're slow. You may have heard it said, sex starts in the kitchen, okay? That's not talking about location, okay? But what it's talking about is in the morning, it's those little things that you say, those sweet words that you say, those tender words that help to light her fire, to prepare her for making love, okay? And what happens is, as this passage says, many couples try to manipulate the other partner by withholding sex. You know, sex is never to be used as a reward or as a punishment. In fact, it says the only excuse for abstaining from sex is what? Prayer and fasting, and then only for a time. So the new excuse is not, is not going to be, honey, I have a headache, but honey, I'm praying, okay? So that's legit, all right? Now, I want to show you something. I want to show you a picture of a man's sex drive for you women who maybe you haven't seen this before.
We need a visual.
But
sometimes.
the visual goes like this. So they say that a man's sex drive peaks at age 18, right? And then slowly over time, it goes down over the course of his life, descending slowly. And then he dies, okay? And it's over, all right? So that's a men's. And some of you ladies, you're like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, what is wrong with you? Nothing. This is the way God designed men. And there's a reason for it, because men have this clock, right? And they say, every 72 hours, leftovers start to stink. House guests start to stink too in 72 hours. Apollo 11 made it to the moon in 72 hours, and every 72 hours, every 3 days, a man's sex clock goes off. There's a reason for this. It reminds him, I need to be sweet to my wife. I need to be caring for my wife, right? And
yes.
Yes.
So, knowing that, ladies, we get this backwards sometimes, especially single ladies, because we believe that if we accommodate this first, then the heart will follow, right? I know tons of women who have based their relationships on that. And we have it all backwards, because if that's what we're doing, we have just given him all the benefits of marriage with none of the responsibility. Wow. And so here's what I want you to know, that if you're married, the way we all want our husband's heart to be tender towards us. I mean, that's our goal. And the way to do that is then to flip that upside down, to accommodate them, to be with them sexually, and that draws their hearts closer to us.
Yes, it's a beautiful cycle in marriage, right? That we complete each other in that way.
That's right.
What's the third?
Well, next we just need to embrace life together.
So
all right,
good.
We have to embrace life together and close and deadbolt the escape hatch. All right, because some of us go into marriage thinking this is a contract and not a covenant.
Wow.
All right, and marriage in God's economy is a covenant. We go into it that way, and so we need to take divorce off the table. It's not even an option. For Cole and I, we've said we will not become another statistic. We might kill each other, but we're never going to divorce each other. All right, I'm kidding. We're not going to kill each other. Some of you right now, I just want to be a little more serious. Some of you might be feeling a deep sense of hurt in your relationship. I get it. We've all been in that spot. Some of you may be feeling like you don't even care anymore about your marriage. And some of you are so disappointed at how your marriage has turned out. And some of you are just feeling so hopeless right now. I just want you to know that God has not given up on your marriage. And I don't want you to give up on your marriage. Listen to what Matthew 19:26 says. Claim this verse today. Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible. Everything, not just some things. Everything is possible. And how are you viewing your marriage today? Are you looking at it from a human perspective, or are you seeing it from God's view? God can resurrect a dead marriage. He can resurrect a dead love life. He can put your dead finances back together, and he can create deeper communication in your marriage. God can do all of those things, but it begins with us believing that he can do all those things and surrendering that to him in our marriages and in our lives.
So the last thing that I got to share with you is this. We have to seal our marriage in Jesus Christ, right? So you've got the man over here, you've got the woman over here, and right now you may feel like you guys are so different and so far apart. And you know, here's the deal. We've got God here up at the top, and what we want to do is each one of us begin to pursue God. Okay, you start to pursue God. You start to focus on Him, and as you do, as you grow closer to God together, what happens here? This distance, this connection gets closer, and you draw closer together as a marriage and as a couple than you ever could have any other way. And that's been the secret for us. I tell you, we wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for Jesus.
If we did not have God at the very center of our relationship, we are just so different enough that we would not have made it. I promise you. If you've been around us in social situations, you know that we can rub each other the wrong way very quickly. But we have to remind ourselves that Jesus seals the deal with us. And because of him, we are standing strong. So we want to encourage you today to stand up on your feet.
Let's stand together.
If you are here with your spouse, we want you to grab hands with him or with her. And we want you to just commit today to seal the deal, to put Jesus right here at the center of your marriage today. It's not easy. If it were easy, everybody would make it to 60 and 70 years. It is not easy. It takes work, but our differences can be used to help us love each other better and grow to be followers of Jesus like we never thought we could.
Yes, in him, the two truly become one, right? So let's pray to him together. Heavenly Father, God, we thank you in this place, Lord, for those who are married. God, I pray that you would seal these couples in you. God, that you draw them close to you, draw them close to each other. God, and I pray for everyone who's in here, God, as we embrace who you've created us to be, God, and we become more like Jesus, God. We want to become full court followers of Jesus Christ, and our commitment today is to pursue you first above everything else. God, we thank you for that. Thank you. I pray for those in this room who today you're saying, I need Jesus in my heart and my life today. Would you just pray a prayer like this? Say, Dear Lord Jesus, I've been so far from you. I've been disconnected from you. My sin has kept me from you. Today, I want to come home to you. I ask that you would come into my heart and my life, that you would change me from the inside out and make me part of your forever family. And from now on, by the power of your Spirit, I want to follow hard after you. Thank you for saving me. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, we're going to have our prayer.